Hello and welcome to the Grueling Truth Sports Network. This is the Grueling Truth NASCAR Show. I'm your co-host Joe Spilman, along with Steve Risley and Ryan Peters. Before we get started today, I want to remind you that the Grueling Truth is powered by Betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding an online casino or sports book that's right for you. Steve, Ryan, haven't seen you guys in a couple days. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good.
Steve? Good.
Yeah.
Good. So we were just talking a little bit before we went on air, and I know we all had some busy weekends. Steve, you caught the Xfinity race. Ryan, you caught a little bit of it. I didn't get to watch much of it, but let's talk about the Xfinity real quick before we move on to our picks. This week, Talladega in the Xfinity Series, Noah Gragson took home the win. Currently in the Xfinity Series, AJ Allmendinger is leading that series. Noah Gragson's in second place, followed by Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, and Brandon Jones. Ryan, you got anything you want to add about the Xfinity Series before we move on?
The only thing I'd add is it was the most watched race since 2017 on the Xfinity side, and that comes a week after the truck race was the most watched race in 5 years. So there's a lot of people watching, these lower series right now in the Xfinity and truck. Obviously, you had dirt and you had Talladega, so that helps with that. But again, it goes back to you get invested into these lower series, you stay with it for years to come, and you got a guy to ride with for decades, and that's how it starts is down here. So the only other thing I'd add is we mentioned this on Sunday. It was cool to see the number 3 back on the track with the Earnhardt behind it and Larry Mack on the pit box, and damn near won it. So it was good to see that again.
Yep, I got to see the end. I was I was standing up screaming at my TV at the end of that race. I thought it would have been cool to see the number 3 finish in the first position there, but didn't happen. It's still a fun race to watch. Steve, you got anything for the Xfinity?
Yeah, hang on here. I'm just making notes. To me, the highlight of the whole weekend, Talladega, I had 2 highlights for the weekend. One was the crowd. The stands looked full for the most part.
Yeah, they did.
The infield was full. I think we mentioned it a little bit on Sunday, but geez, I didn't realize there were that many campers and RVs in the world. I just don't see, it's never entered my mind to go out and buy an RV. But hell, the way Talladega is, I got to now haul that thing down over the Grand Canyon somehow and run out to Talladega and watch me a race in the infield, get on Talladega Boulevard, which probably only cost you about $5,000 for the weekend to park your RV there. I thought that was the highlight, was the crowd. Second, we said this too, there was nothing more fun than seeing Larry Mack in the press box and taking an Earnhardt and running him for the win.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was the highlight of the weekend for me, period. More so than a great Talladega race. If you like the restrictor plate, we call it restrictor plate, but it's not. But I thought that was the highlight, was just seeing Larry Mack doing what he was doing and doing it great, and to see an Earnhardt contending for a win again. And in the 3 car, too, which was just absolutely cool and painted up pretty similar to Earnhardt's car. So that was a real good get by Childress to do that, and really enjoyed that part of it. I joked, for me personally, if I was Rick Hendrick right now, I'd be offering Larry McReynolds all the money in the world to get up on Elliott's press box and make Alan, what do you call him, Brian? Alan who?
Goofed up son.
Put him up there and let him be director of competition or something, and get McReynolds in that pit box.
He'd be the cowboy.
I thought that was the highlight. The crowds, great to see, great crowd. What were the ratings for 261? 4 million viewers. That's a good day.
That was for the Cup race.
Yeah, that's a good day.
Yeah. Well, Steve, and talking about seeing that number 3 car again with an Earnhardt in it going around the track, it made me feel like a kid again. Probably made you feel like you were in your 40s again. And
ouch. Hey, At 63, I'll take being in the 40s again. Trust me.
I'm kidding with you, Steve.
No, please. That's okay. I'm like, trust me. I spent 4 years with Bob Knight. There ain't nothing you can say to me that's going to shock, surprise, scare, or piss me off that bad.
Yeah.
So,
hey, let's move on to our picks, which
okay.
right before we went on, I said we did terrible on our picks. Ryan said we didn't. I disagree with you, Ryan.
I said I didn't. I don't care about what you guys did.
Well,
I said I
beat us by a point. Don't get all cocky on that, Mr. Indian fan.
He's trying to throw me down, and I think he's speaking for himself, but then trying to project it on us, Steve. I think that's what
I'm proud of my 3 picks. It's freaking Talladega, man. Give me a break. You don't know who the hell is going to end up in what. If I score any points at all, I feel good about it. And I think I actually had one driver that gave me 2 points.
You did.
I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Larson.
Yeah.
So I had one driver in the top 5. So you get that at Talladega, I don't think any of us picked.
No, I mean, why
not
would
the
you?
winner?
Why would you?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the crapshoot of Talladega.
I forgot my watermelon again. The last time Ross Chastain won, I was going to get on here eating watermelon, and then I was going to bring one this week. I didn't really forget it. I don't know where he's getting his watermelon in April, but he's shopping at a different place than I am.
His family has a farm, man.
Yeah, they do.
Anyway,
they have a farm. Yeah,
I actually didn't know that.
So I'm sure he takes one to every race.
That's why he's the watermelon man. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't know that. This week, or for Talladega, I picked Logano.
Ryan, you know what did we let him on the show?
Why am I even on this show?
Why is he even on the show? He doesn't know anything about NASCAR.
He's filling a spot right now just so he can be on the USFL show later. That's
I know. He's got to He's got to become Mike's butt boy again and get on and do the NFL show with him.
Where are you coming up with this shit?
Mike's got a whole new slew of butt boys. So he changes his butt boys about as often as I change underwear.
Quit it, Steve. Anyway,
now Joe's. Be careful, Ryan. He may like you soon. He may try to get you to be a butt boy too. I was a butt boy at one time when I first started with him 7 years ago.
Oh my god!
Then I've watched him go through butt boys faster than you.
Steve, let's get to our picks. I picked Logano, Elliott, Larson, Blaney, and Hamlin. Larson, as you know, finished in the top 5. I got 2 points for that. Elliott finished in the top 10. I got 1 point for that. So I came out of this week with an astounding 3 points. Steve, you picked Elliott, Blaney, Logano, Larson, and Byron. So you got 2 points for Larson, 1 point for Elliott. You came out of this week with an astounding 3 points. Good job.
Hey, Joe.
What?
Byron is spelled B-Y-R-O-N, not B-A-Y. It's not Byron.
I understand it. It's a draft, Steve. It's an outline.
You don't have spell check?
Yeah, I got the little red squiggly line under it, Steve. I know it's spelled wrong.
That means it's spelled wrong.
Yeah, I know that.
All right, go on.
Okay, so you got 2 points for Larson, 1 point for Elliott. You got 3 points.
There you go.
Ryan, you picked Jones, Austin Dillon, Blaney, McDowell, and Chris Buescher. And you got a big 2 points for Dillon. Good job. Golf clap. 1 point for Jones, who somehow made it into the top 10, and 1 point for McDowell, who somehow made it in the top 10. So you won the week.
Somehow made top 10. Jones didn't won the race.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't.
We're not giving him
any
credit at all. He had as good a chance
all.
as anybody to win that race.
We're not giving him any credit at all.
And Ryan Blaney got 11th. Steve, Ryan Blaney got 11th there. We would have had another point.
Another point. Yeah, I know. It's like an idiot. Yeah.
So currently, I am still leading with 27 points. Good for me. Steve, you have 24 points. Ryan, you are up to 22 points. But as always, the caveat, Ryan did not pick drivers the first 2 weeks. So I think we're going to beat you on a caveat, Ryan.
Nah.
All right, moving on.
I want it to be as competitive between the three of us so that it comes down to Phoenix. That would be my dream scenario. And it's a winner take all, 5 drivers between the three of us in Phoenix. I think that'd be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good time. I mean, we're relatively close, and really, without them first 2 weeks, Ryan, I think we're all pretty much even. I mean, I think I'm still winning, obviously, but
well, listen, Joe. I mean, we're giving 3 to 4 people a week for people to go on betting.net.
Look at Steve.
We're going to. We're giving 3 to 4 people a week for people to go on betting.net to put in the time, and we could be making people money right now if they're listening to us.
We are making people money.
Last week, I had all 5. Steve had all 5. What else do you want? We're dominating right now.
I would have had all 5. I would have had all 5 too if somebody didn't.
What it could have
a little overzealous.
Somebody go find Joe or Ross's family. I'm getting upset.
All right. Well, we give it next week's picks Ryder.
No, let's.
We're doing that at the end. We're doing that at the end of the show.
Next week's picks.
Well, people get tired of listening to us and they go away.
Yeah.
But I'm done telling my stories. They don't. When you guys start talking, they go away.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about
not Ryan. Ryan's got good stories.
Ryan knows his shit. There was
I did this week, asshole.
A little bit of news around NASCAR this week. One thing I want to hit on before we get to our quick recap of Talladega, because we do a post-race show, is Denny Hamlin got in a little trouble. And I guess we'll say he got into a little trouble. I don't think he should be in a little trouble.
What technically occurred? Did he post something?
Ryan, you want to go ahead and explain what happened?
This is news, so we can repeat news.
So what happened was Denny Hamlin was not happy about Kyle Larson moving up the track and essentially wrecking Kurt Busch and then end up wrecking Bubba Wallace. So he decided to go on Twitter, and his first tweet was pain, meaning, obviously financial pain. And then just kept it going by posting it was a short video clip of a Family Guy episode where an Asian driver says, "How much time should I give before I switch lanes? None? Okay, I'll just do it now." And then wrecks like 20 people. And he put Kyle Larson as the Asian driver. So he doubled down that it was funny and people did light up. But then what more than likely happened is he got in trouble by his sponsors and then deleted it and then came out with an apology.
Well,
and
for what? For making fun of Asian drivers?
Well,
or Kyle Larson.
So the backstory, which none of us probably know, is Kyle Larson's mom's Asian, so that's why it could possibly be taken the wrong way. It's not like he was directing it at Kyle Larson's mom or anything. And what's hilarious to me about this is NASCAR races on Fox. He shares a clip from a show that is made on Fox and then gets in trouble. So it's just 2022.
While an NBC reporter is calling the race.
Now, do you think that he knew when he posted it that Kyle Larson had an Asian mother? I mean, do you think? Obviously, he probably knew. Do you think that even entered his mind at all?
I don't think it entered his mind, and I don't think it matters. I think it was a joke describing his racing and what led to an accident. And at the end of the day, it was funny, like Family Guy is, and more than likely a sponsor that doesn't agree with the sensitivity of everything said, "We want you to take that down." And at the end of the day, I mean, when you got a sport that's run by corporations like NASCAR is, if FedEx, Sports Clips, or somebody else says, "We don't want to see that because you represent our brand," the driver and the team are going to do that. Do I think it's right? No. And then I think it's even dumber for NASCAR to double down with the sensitivity training.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick though, Gunner's boss asked who is leading the NASCAR Cup Series. And how you all
We're going
doing,
to cover
Steve
that.
and
We're gonna cover.
panelists? We are going to cover that. So
Yeah,
stick with us.
Steve
A
and
little
from now
panelists.
on, thank you, Gunners. From now on, you guys are both known as my panelists. And I need my living room. I need my living room paneled.
Might as well just say Steve and Steve's butt boys.
Well,
Well,
Gunner's got to make the name.
Ryan, as a fellow panelist, I kind of want to echo what you're saying. And
Wait a minute, Gunner's got one more comment here. Hang on. Most of the drivers appear to be spoiled brats. Right, Gunners. Exactly. That's why I said there's nothing like watching two 5'4", 130-pound multimillionaires bitch slap each other with their helmets on. That's a great NASCAR fight right there.
Steve, I find that incredibly offensive, and you are going to be mandated sensitivity training through the Grueling Truth before next week's show.
Fucking A. Let's go. I'll show you sensitivity.
So,
and he passed.
You did. Good job. Ryan, I kind of want to echo what you're saying. I think NASCAR mandating Denny Hamlin to take sensitivity training over a joke. To echo Chris Rock, it was a joke.
It was a joke.
It was a joke. Okay, it's funny. We have gotten to a point in our society where you can't even say funny shit anymore without somebody getting offended. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. It was funny. We all know Asian people can't drive. It's hilarious.
Oh my God. No. Let me tell you. I live about 5 miles from Pasadena. And Pasadena is a very Asian part of Los Angeles. High-end Asian people, because the the rocket systems up here, the GPL. I can't think of what it's called. I'm drawing a blank right now, but it's the.
We have bottle rockets here, Steve. We don't.
No, we don't. We have the actual shit that takes people to the moon.
Are you talking about the Elon Musk stuff or JPL, the Jet Propulsion Lab?
Jet Propulsion Lab. Yeah, JPL is. I can see every ride. JPL is not 5 miles from my house, so just over on the 210. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you what. So there is an abundance of Asian drivers up here. They are bad drivers.
Yeah.
And you know what's worst about them is, just like what Denny was talking about, they think they own the road. I mean, when they want to pull out in front of you, when they want to switch lanes, they don't signal. They don't look where you're at. They expect you to get the hell out of their way.
And you know what? And Steve, that's why when Family Guy puts it on an episode, everybody laughs and finds it hilarious.
Yeah.
Including the Asian population.
Well, I would say most of the people are finding it hilarious because a lot of people have had experience with it on the road in real life on the road.
I don't understand. I mean, there obviously we live in a society where there's certain things you don't say, and I agree with that. But it's not derogatory. It's just it's funny.
Well, the problem with this to me is that you had a fight 2 weeks ago. An altercation, whatever. And if you're outside of the track, you could have got arrested. Me and Joe, if we fought at Lawrenceburg Speedway like that, one of us is more than likely riding in a cop car. Now, what does NASCAR do to that? Post it all over, use it as promo and everything to say, hey, watch NASCAR, watch these two duke it out. But then when somebody goes on an internet space and posts a video from a show that is run on the same exact channel that these races are on, we pretend that's the worst thing in the world. It's so hypocritical to do that. And, NASCAR at the end of the day is going to say, you know what? We don't want to see you guys fighting, wink, but go at it. But if there's something that you tweet that maybe 3 people with a Twitter egg as their bio picture have a problem with, we're going to really take a hard stand against that. And it's so hypocritical and it's so stupid.
You are absolutely right. So 2 weeks ago, we watched 2 Xfinity drivers commit battery, by the definition of battery, on each other in front of millions of people watching and 50,000 people in the stands. And it was replayed and replayed and replayed. Like it was great. Denny Hamlin posts a funny video that everybody laughs at, and they're sending them to sensitivity training. I find it ridiculous. NASCAR, you are wrong, and it's utterly ridiculous.
Well,
go ahead, Steve.
Here's the deal. I perceive it to be: fighting is an endeared part of the sport of NASCAR. I mean, we all live. We almost like that better than wrecks now. Is when they get out of the cars and start bitch slapping each other. Those boys can't fight. They're not big enough to fight. Jiminy Christmas. But I think that as long as when NASCAR gets pissy like this, it's because they have a fear they're going to lose corporate dollars. That's the only reason. That is the only. If there was no grumblings from anybody, no negative comment, NASCAR wouldn't have done crap about this. But they're so sensitive to the corporate money coming into that sport. Because you got to remember, NASCAR in itself is still a privately held company. It's owned by the France family. There's no common share. You can't buy stock.
Right.
In NASCAR.
Yeah, they don't have to show their finances, nothing like that. They don't
show their finances or nothing. They got to be making billions of dollars off of NASCAR. The TV packages alone got to be worth that, let alone the corporate sponsorship that comes in. And every individual race is funded by the promoter of that track. Yep. The promoter's got to go find their sponsors, put up the purse and everything to meet NASCAR standards. So this is nothing more than we're going to slap your wrist, but we're going to make sure everybody knows, our sponsors all know, we will not wink, wink, tolerate this stuff. And it is piss poor of NASCAR. It didn't used to be this way.
It's terrible.
I mean, the things that Earnhardt and Waltrip and David Pearson and Junior Johnson, those guys got away with murder. Hell, David Pearson had a lighter in his car and was smoking cigarettes during the race.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's utterly ridiculous.
I don't like this part of NASCAR. The France family has just gotten so corporate and so money organized that they really, they pushed the racing so much to where they try and make it too much like IROC. They try and force feed the competition by making all the rules and all the cars be virtually identical, except for the wrap color they put on the car. Other than that, every car is supposed to be in. It's the frustrating part about the sport, to where it's not just open racing. I give F1 credit for that more so than NASCAR, because F1, that's why you always see Ferrari, Red Bull, or Mercedes win. It's open. I mean, it's not as tightly regulated on the cars. No. You can create your own spoilers, your own wings, as long as you meet the standards of the size of the car and the weight, everything like that. But the tolerance is a lot greater in F1 than it is in NASCAR. There's no tolerance in NASCAR.
No. And Gunner's boss says it's cancellation time. Singers can't sing no more. Comedians can't be comedians. But Steve can still go to the barbershop and get his whole face shaved.
Yeah, well, Gunner likes a clean-shaven face.
Yeah. Let's move on for that. I think we made our point well known on the Denny Hamlin sensitivity training. Let's talk about.
I think it's a joke. I think it's an absolute. The thing was, though, he had to complete it by Friday.
Yeah. Or
they weren't going to let him race.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
He said he is suspended from racing until he completes it, and he has to complete it by Friday.
He wants to NASCAR dropped the ball on that. Society needs to get over themselves. People say mean things. Sometimes you think you take things the wrong way, but life's not fair. Sometimes people say shit that you don't like. Get over it.
Well, The problem there is, and I know we want to move on, I'll just say is that in my opinion, that's what Twitter and Facebook and everything and Instagram and all and TikTok, whatever. I don't even know. I mean, I have a Twitter account and a Instagram account, and I'm even locked out of my Facebook account because I can't remember. I can't get the code to get back in it because they have a phone number from 25 years ago that they're texting me the code to, and I can't get a hold of anybody. Anyway, that's another story. But what that is all guys come on there and start bitching and woking, and they're doing it because there's no accountability. There's no accountability. Used to be if you wanted your message heard, you had to put your face either on paper and send it into the newspaper, or you had to get in front of a camera or a microphone. And then it's like, well, Steve Risley thinks this, Ryan Peters thinks this, Joe Spilman thinks this. Then there's accountability because you're attached to it. When you start bitching about a joke and finding out that Kyle Larson's mom is Asian. No. There was no attack on Kyle Larson's mom there intended, I'm sure.
And it was funny. It was funny.
It was funny. It's even funny because, like I said, I live amongst them to a large degree. And I drive amongst them more than anything. So, and they are bad drivers.
Yeah. Ryan, you got anything to add, or you want to move on? Because I know.
No, I think it kind of ties into, if we talk about Kyle Busch a little bit later, I think what we'll see this kind of ties into something else that I kind of want to make a point on later. So we can move on.
Well, let's go. Let's talk about Chase Elliott, Larson. Yeah. The Hendrick cars are going in Xfinity racing, right?
Okay, yeah, we can
cover that.
We can talk. Yeah, so
they're all going to split one car, the 88 car.
Yeah. Next year, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, William Byron are going to split 5 races in the 88 car in the Xfinity Series next year. So, that'll be a good look. Some Hendrick drivers in the 88 car, which Hendrick owns part of Junior Motorsports. So,
and Chase Elliott's going to run the 88 car this weekend in Darlington.
I think so.
Darlington, Delaware.
So that's a little bit of news to remember for next year. But Ryan, you
talk about you mentioned Ross Chastain comes out. Talk about that. Wins at both Talladega and Coda in the same car.
We got the little thing up on the bottom of the screen, Steve.
Okay, well, I don't read it, so that means half the people who are listening to us probably don't read it either.
Let's move on to Ryan. You texted me about this. Ross Chastain won this week at Talladega with the same car that he won at Coda. So I think you sent me a text and kind of alluded to the fact that it's incredible that NASCAR's got to the point that you can win on a super speedway with the same car that you did at a road course. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, off air we kind of talked about how, part of the time we could talk a little bit more about the specs about this new car and NASCAR in general. And, something that these fans that are listening may not understand. In NASCAR, you used to have multiple chassis, and you'd have a short track car, usually a 1.5 mile car, a road course car, and a super speedway car. And right now, with the way that they designed this car, and we talked a little bit about it on previous episodes, is they wanted to save money. Well, the number one way to save money is not having to have multiple chassis, multiple engines. So before he won the race, there's a post out showing Ross Chastain's car that won at Coda being torn down and being ran at Talladega this weekend. Oddly enough, he ends up winning the race. And for people that are long time viewers of NASCAR, no, this would have never been possible before. The way that they set these cars up, the way that they tune them, the way that all the different things that have to go into, building a NASCAR, this would have been the worst case scenario. This would have been like a Rick Ware racing thing. We had to tear down our Coda car to make it a Talladega car. That would have been, somebody low on money that didn't have a budget. These cars are now designed to do that. You rip them apart, you adjust a couple things, and now you have a road car turned into a super speedway car. Not only that, but a race winning car twice.
And you know what that allows? A team like Trackhouse Racing, who's relatively new, to be able to get a multiple win season. Case in point. Yep. Steve, what do you think about it?
I think Ryan hit it. I mean, one of the biggest reasons they built the next gen car was to do exactly what Ryan said, was to have one car that could race any track with minimal adjustments on them. You know, and there are virtually no parts. So there's probably, I don't know, I'm not in the garage. There's probably a handful of parts you can flip out between a road course and a super speedway, but it's not tearing down a car completely and rebuilding it. You use the same car, same chassis, same fenders, same aero, and you know the aero packages probably can be changed a little bit. So it's
you're
really
adding
great.
the bigger spoiler to it.
You're adding the bigger spoiler, yeah, and that's fine. I mean that was a good part. That allows teams, like you said, like Trackhouse, to come in and be competitive if they can get a good driver. And obviously, you know, they've got a good driver. So, you know, with 2 wins, leading up with William Byron, only 2 guys that have 2 wins so far this year. Great, man. It's like they said long time ago, before you guys were probably even born. There ain't nothing stock about a stock car. You know,
That's right.
There's nothing stock about these cars. They're all custom made, but they're making it now to where it's one custom made car. Hell, a lot of teams are not even bringing a backup for each car yet, each driver.
Right.
They put maybe 1 or 2 if you're a big team. Hendrick may put, you're running 4 cars, may put two backup cars, and that's it. You know.
Well, Steve, speaking of the same thing on all the cars, I always go to the same website to find the best online casinos and sports books, and that is betting.net. What do you think about that one, Steve?
I think you're getting some coaching from the front of the head office, is what I think.
8 out of 10.
I think you got some. I think you got some 8 out of 10. Yeah, I think you got some sensitivity training from betting.com.
Betting.net, Steve.
Betting.net. Well, I didn't say betting.now. Give me a break. I'm baby steps from me.
Steve, they upped his royalty, and he's been.
Yeah, no kidding. That was almost a smooth transition.
Yeah. So
when you're eating the corn on the cob, and you like that corn, think about this corny introduction I'm going to say about our sponsor. That is betting.net, the online site that gives you the opportunity to go find the best place for you to go lose your money.
Oh, Steve. If you listen to us and our picks, you'd probably win some money.
Exactly. We're happy that somebody got 4 points out of a possible what's possible? 20, 25 points is the most you could win.
No, the most 10, only 10, one driver 15. Can win. Yeah, 15 points is the highest.
Well, no, how much does the winner get in our pool? None of us have a winner yet. Oh, 5. So no, so it's it would be 18 points.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I'm winning by 3, because I picked Hamlin to win and he did.
Yeah, so 18 points is the most you could get on any week we pick. That'd be if you got the winner, all the top 5 right, and the next 5 right.
Yeah.
Hey, the whole top 10. So none of us are close. We're thrilled to death that somebody got 4 points. We're a bunch of freaking idiots, is what it's saying.
No. Ryan already said it's a super speedway. We're good.
It's Talladega, baby.
We're good.
All right, Ryan. Hey, this is yours.
Yeah, I think
talk to us about Kyle Busch. He's leaving Joe Gibbs. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, you heard it here on the Grueling Truth NASCAR
That's right.
Show. Kyle Busch is making an exit from Joe Gibbs Racing for the 2023
which will give
season.
You odds on where Kyle's going to go.
Yeah, I don't
probably will.
He's going to Trackhouse Racing.
Yeah. Where's he going? Where's he going, Ryan? With your
hopefully nowhere. I hope he goes nowhere. It kind of what ended up starting out is somebody just asked him about his sponsorship news, because if you new to racing, M&M's has been in this sport for a long time. I think it's over 30 years. And Mars decided that they want to invest money somewhere else, normally making the green M&M have different shoes so they look cooler now. So they're going to leave NASCAR, and they were told that after the 2020 season. So they've had 2 years to get a sponsor, and Kyle Busch, like in Kyle Busch fashion, answered the question. It didn't do anything politically correct answer-wise, and said, I don't know where I'm going to drive next year. I don't know if it'll be with JGR. You got to ask them if I'm going to be back. You got to ask them who the sponsor is going to be. And if not, I'm ready to move on. And like anything that Kyle Busch says, because it's not typically filtered, it gained a lot of buzz. And, and I alluded to the last conversation we had about the other JGR driver and Denny Hamlin getting in trouble for sponsorship, more than likely. And I think if Kyle Busch cannot get a sponsor, which I'm sure he will, but at the end of the day, he's the only two-time or multi-champion driver in the sport, and he's still looking for a major sponsor. If we're to the point to where this sport can't get its only multi-champion driver a sponsor, I think this kind of alludes to how boring NASCAR drivers mentality-wise are going to be in the future. Because if Kyle Busch can't get a sponsor because he just doesn't answer every single question in the same mundane Russell Wilson, yeah, we had a great week, we'll look to do better, let's go on to next week type of approach, the sport's going to really struggle to find sponsors moving forward, and it's going to be something that is really going to hamper. But I think Kyle's going to sign with JGR. He's got a tremendous relationship with Toyota. If he doesn't sign, I think the only reason why he's kind of being a little bit negative is because we all know Ty Gibbs is right behind him. And this more than likely probably has sort of, hey, we want to keep you, but, we can't afford you, so we're going to get Ty in. And we kind of had the same thing happen to Hendrick where, we think you're really talented, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. is a free agent, so see you.
I think that's probably more than I don't believe for a minute that JGR doesn't have, or is at least in talks with the sponsor, doesn't have one in the back door right now. I think they're reserving a spot for the golden grandson, and I don't think that they care if they lose Kyle Busch. So I think Kyle Busch will be in a race car next year. I don't necessarily believe it'll be with Joe Gibbs Racing, though. So
I that's such a crazy thing to have happen if that is indeed the case. And at that point, if you're Joe Gibbs Racing, your future, you're just putting it all on Ty Gibbs, because Martin Truex isn't getting any younger. Denny Hamlin's not getting any younger. You're talking about guys in their late 30s, 40s. And then Christopher Bell, yeah, he's a younger driver, but, he's only got 2 wins in his career. So you're talking possibly what Hendrick has had to go through 4 years ago, the worst episode of losing. And JGR's never had to worry about that. And if they decide to make that point, then money is a lot bigger factor than what we give it credit to in this sport.
Agreed.
There's places for him to go. Almirola is leaving Stuart Haas.
I just don't think with the contract that he has with Toyota, Toyota came out and said, we want Kyle forever. And, and they supply, he is TRD Racing for his truck series. So it would be one crazy sponsorship loss if they end up losing Kyle Busch and Toyota lost Kyle Busch. I think, if anything, he would try to do his own charter. That's the only thing that I can think of that he may try to incorporate and bring his team up. I think that chance is less than 1%. But at the end of the day, he said he could go drive the hauler for Brexton Busch, and that might actually bring him more happiness. So,
yeah,
that's not true. There's a car going to be open next year at Stuart Haas, and let's face it, Harvick is fading. I still like Kevin Harvick a lot, but I think Kyle Busch has got a lot of good years left in him. Hell, him and Chase Elliott have the most top 5 finishes of any driver. Both of them have 7 top 10 finishes, only 2. He's got a lot of good driving left in him. Penske could make a hole real quick if they wanted him back. Didn't he drive for Penske for a while?
Hendrick.
He
started
with
at number 5.
Then he went
straight to Joe Gibbs.
Oh, did he? Okay, I thought he did a little stint at no, that was Kurt Busch I'm thinking about. Yeah,
Kurt's been everywhere.
But Penske could make a little hole because they basically use the Wood Brothers car as their 4th car. They kind of have an affiliation with them. But they could dump that and just put a 4th car in. Roger's going to be making money hand over foot off the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. he can afford to run a fourth car if they want. So I think it was, and I agree with you. I think Gibbs would be stupid to let him go, but they are going to want to punch a hole for Ty Gibbs at some point. I mean, I don't blame him. It's family. That's what you want if you got one capable of driving at it. The part that really sucks this year, Kyle Busch and Samantha are going to have to go out and buy their own damn Halloween candy. They're just not going to get cases of M&Ms, peanuts, and plain.
No, that was
house for Halloween.
That was a lifetime supply, Steve.
Oh, was it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They got M&Ms for life.
Oh, okay.
But I guess we'll see what happens.
Can I say one thing and I know I'm a Kyle Busch fan, but what does that say about the possibility of your sport if it's 2 years now and the only two-time winning driver championship-wise still doesn't have a sponsor? Is that Joe Gibbs just hiding that, kind of like you're saying, Joe, like we do have one in our back pocket, but this is the leverage we're using? If that's not the case and truly is they can't find a sponsor for Kyle Busch, then I think that really alludes to the fact that funding in NASCAR is not nearly as good as we think it is. We think that, all these teams have good sponsorships and we're seeing different products come in, but we're losing major sponsorships. We've already lost Mars and Candy, and there's a couple other sponsors that have left.
Right.
This sport has to have sponsors, unlike any other sport. It's the only way that it runs.
There's race sponsors. I mean, there's races that aren't sponsored this year. I don't know. Is the race this week sponsored? I think this week's race.
I'm sure it is.
I think it's just the NASCAR Cup Series or the NASCAR Series race at Dover.
Let me look real quick here. Go ahead and keep talking.
But no, I agree. I mean, I think if Kyle Busch isn't going to be back at Joe Gibbs Racing, they have a sponsor in their back pocket, and they're not telling him, and they're not talking about it. And if they don't have a sponsor, then you're absolutely right, Ryan. NASCAR is in trouble, and it's in trouble that we don't know about right now. So,
all right, here you go. Here you go. The Duramax Dry Den 400 presented by Relodyne. So Duramax, is that a battery?
That is a mouthful.
Yeah.
That's the battery, isn't it? Duramax is the battery?
It's an engine.
Engine? Okay. Duramax, Drydene, Drydene.
Oh, that's right. And Drydene is, I think, like diesel cleaner or fuel.
All right. 400, presented by Relodyne. Or Relodyne. Okay.
All right, then.
So they do have sponsors.
Well, there you go.
Here's one more thing to think about, too. And we've heard rumblings of this, too, as we now are talking silly season this early into the year. But this is what this is coming down to. There is rumblings out there that Dodge Chrysler may get back into the sport. Kyle Busch would be a flagship driver for if they brought a factory sponsored team. Who else would you want to drive that car but Kyle Busch?
I don't think it's going to happen. There's not a
driver in NASCAR, short of like a Chase Elliott, who's the most popular driver, not the best driver by far, but the most popular every year. But if you want the best driver in NASCAR right now, it's still Kyle Busch.
Always.
Yeah, but I don't think Kyle Busch is going to race for money. He's too late in his career. I mean, he just wants championships, I don't think that happens at Dodge if they come back.
And Steve, I got to disagree. Kyle Busch is not the best driver. Kyle Larson is by far the best driver in the sport right now.
No, Kyle Larson's got the best equipment.
No,
right now, I think Kyle.
Kyle Larson had one great year, and now
one great year.
He wins in everything he drives.
Well, okay. It doesn't make him the greatest NASCAR driver.
NASCAR driver. Yeah.
He's the greatest all-around driver that's driving the car right now. I may give you credit for that.
I disagree.
But as long as AJ Foyt's driving a tractor, everybody's second.
I have spoken.
All right. Well,
Kyle Larson has a hard time not wrecking his teammates right now.
Yeah. But there's no doubt. If I had to choose one driver now to start my team, I would be going after Kyle Busch. Because I think that and I think the problem with Gibbs right now, their equipment just isn't shit right now. They have not figured out the next gen car like Hendrick has. Neither has Stewart-Haas Racing. and virtually nobody's figured it out like Hendrick has yet. And I think these are going to catch him. And when they do, I think that Gibbs is going to light fires like you see no tomorrow. You know.
Yeah,
So
the only thing like I said earlier, whenever speaking of Denny Hamlin, we talked about is probably made these things are happening and we do these dances for corporate sponsors. If we're doing these things for corporate sponsors, but we can't even get a corporate sponsor of arguably the top 3 driver in NASCAR, I think that's a huge reflection of something that may not be so great in the very near future in terms of funding for this sport.
So it costs a lot of money. It costs a lot of money to sponsor these cars.
Let's move on.
You're right.
And you know what you don't have? You don't have, Ryan. And once again, Joe, you see nobody's listening to you. Ryan,
Yeah, I know.
What you
don't worry
have
about
here,
me.
you no longer, I don't even know, you no longer have any team in NASCAR that has a single sponsored car. It used to be
Right.
FedEx, but I've seen different sponsors on Hamlin's car this year. He doesn't even have it. I mean, FedEx was the last standout as the full season sponsor of the 11 car. Now it's gone. Now you got teams constantly scrambling like crazy, trying to find, packages to put together, 5 race, 10 race packages, and trying to sell it that way because it's just gotten too expensive to sponsor these cars. Hell, I'm heartbroken because Hooters hasn't been on the 9 car yet. And I got all this Hooters gear because I love Hooters wings. And you get a free Bloomin' Onion or something like that when you go to Bloomin' Onion. That's when Harvick wins, so they're not giving any of those away. But you get a free something when Elliott wins. I ain't giving any of those away either. So anyway,
whatever's free, they're not giving it away.
Sponsorship's going to get tougher and tougher. So
Steve, are we ready to move on?
No.
Let's move on because Joe wants to talk USFL football.
No, Joe's got to go do USFL football. What time's the show, Joe? What time's the football show, Joe?
Whenever Mike tells me to get on is when.
What time did he tell you to get on?
It's at 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock? Okay.
Yeah. So no, it's at 8 o'clock. So we can get this.
We have 10 minutes.
No, we don't, Steve. I'm messing with you.
Oh, I was gonna say you ain't gonna make it, or you're leaving the window. There's no C here. You're not gonna be on for the start.
That's right. Hey,
any different for Good Patrick? He just talks the whole show anyway.
Right. Well, and that's a perfect show for me to be on. You guys just talked this whole show, and I just was like, "Hey, let's move on." You guys are like, "Shut the hell up."
That's why our ratings are so good. Move on.
Yeah. Anyway, one last topic to hit on before we move on to Talladega, which we recapped in the post-race show. So I don't know how much more we have to hit on, but I want to ask both of you a very pointy question. Is Bubba Wallace a Cup caliber driver? Ryan, I'll let you go first.
I'll let Steve go. I talked a lot last segment.
Okay, Steve, go ahead. Is Bubba Wallace a Cup caliber driver?
I think he is, sure. Yeah, I think.
No, you got like 25th.
There are worse drivers out there that are driving. So, I think there's a hell of a lot of pressure on that. I think there's a hell of a lot of pressure on that young man. I think everything he does, he's learning. He's not an instant superstar, but I think he's a driver. If they gut it out with him and he stays around, and the guy's got potential. He runs up front a lot of the times. What impresses me most? Well, what impresses me most? Well, even on regular tracks, what impresses me most is those cars. His cars have not qualified well from the 2023-11 team. Neither he nor Busch have had good qualifying runs. But I noticed both those drivers push themselves up to the top 10 and top 5 quite frequently. Now, Wallace tends to get in wrecks, and Kurt Busch tends to get in wrecks. Both of them are kind of accident prone, but I think what Bubba brings to the table, and what he represents to sponsors, to NASCAR, to everything, outweighs any deficiency he might have in driving. And I don't think he's got a lot of deficiencies. I just don't think he's a superstar like a Kyle Busch or a Chase Elliott or a Kyle Larson. He's not at that level.
Maybe
But
I should have.
I would have no problem running him for all the other benefits of having him on your team.
And Steve, maybe I should have rephrased the question, because what I was actually trying to ask, and I think I tried to make it a little bit too pointed, is you're right, there are worse drivers than him. Is he a driver that's going to be a premier driver for a team that's going to win them championships?
I'll say no and turn it over to Ryan. I don't think he'll ever win a championship.
To answer your initial question, I would echo what Steve said. I think that he's a champion, or I think he's a quality super speedway driver, and then that's it. I think at the end of the day, you got a driver in Bubba Wallace that is probably never – I just don't see him getting points-wise in the top 20, and if he does, he's going to have to win multiple super speedway races. He just does not do well on mile and a half. Usually is actually really bad on mile and a half, and we know that's a lot about NASCAR. It's went away some, but he has to have more of what he's really good at, and he is a good super speedway driver. You know, to me, he's kind of like a Michael McDowell. I think Michael McDowell has made a living racing in NASCAR because he's a good super speedway driver, and he has a chance to get into the top 16 by just being a specialist on those tracks. But he's been outdrove by his teammate a lot this year by Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch, you're right. They do have the same equipment. They don't qualify worth a crap. But Kurt Busch, I would put money that he's probably 12 spots higher in the standings right now than Bubba Wallace. And Bubba Wallace has been with this team for 2 years, and Kurt Busch just walked right in the door. So I think there's a spot in NASCAR for Bubba Wallace, but we don't act like Michael McDowell's the next coming of 4 spots.
Like 4 spots above Bubba.
Okay. And what is that?
Kurt Busch is hang on here. Somebody sends these damn notes to us and they're all bass backwards.
Kurt Busch is 19th,
and Bubba Wallace is 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could see, honestly, I could see Bubba Wallace staying around 22nd. I could see Kurt Busch moving up to 14th.
Yeah, I think Kurt Busch Kurt Busch will sneak a win in. He's talented enough to do that.
Yeah, I think he's talented enough. I don't know if he's got the equipment to do it yet. I think that he could be in the spot to where something could happen. But at the end of the day, there's a spot for Bubba Wallace in NASCAR. It is as a super speedway driver. I think what we're thrown at is commercials of Bubba Wallace and this product that he is a lot better than what his on-track performance has been. And unfortunately, if you criticize his on-track performance, which speaks for itself because it's objective, not subjective, you get thrown in with other adjectives.
Right. Yeah. And that's exactly, and that's why I wanted to make that part of the show, because, you know,
they're handling with kid gloves.
Yeah. One thing that I do, you know, I scour the social media, NASCAR affiliated social media, and Bubba Wallace has a strong backing. He has a passionate fan base, but I think his fan base is a little out of touch on how good he is. I agree with both of you that he is a great super speedway driver. He is a good race car driver, but he's not a race car driver that's going to take a team to a championship. He's not even a race car driver that's going to get a win every season. So, you know, as far as being a top circuit driver, I think he is average to below average. And, you know, just like you said, I think, you know, when you're open and honest about what his caliber of driving is, there's other undertones that are attached to you just for speaking, you know, and going by the stats. So
he was at Richard Petty Motorsports, and I think that's the perfect type of driver that he is. I think he's got a chance to do something maybe 3 or 4 times a year. He's probably in better equipment than Richard Petty Motorsports, Petty GMS now. Like the previous years, I think they've caught up a little bit with their partnership now. But I think that's the type of driver he is. I think he's a Richard Petty Motorsports type of driver.
Good call. Very good call.
Yep.
And you know, I mean, you got to look at Bubba. I mean, he's got McDonald's as his primary sponsor. I mean, McDonald's is as big as Mars Candy. Yeah, McDonald's is as big as FedEx. I mean, they're glued to him. I mean, they're on his car every race, whether he has somebody else. There still is always a set of golden arches, big, very prominently displayed on the side of that car.
Yeah.
So they made a real commitment to Bubba, and I think I was not a Bubba fan when he first came, but I've listened to the man talk. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He understands what's expected of him and what pressure's on him. And I've become a Bubba fan. I'd like to see him win a race other than a super speedway race. I just like to see him get that monkey off his back, because I have no reason to not like Bubba Wallace. He drives hard. I think that's why he gets in a lot of wrecks. He drives hard with probably a little bit less talent than some of the other guys have, but he drives hard. And I love that. I love it. That's what I love about Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, like Earnhardt, just in wreck his racing.
Right.
And I love that. I love that about that sport. That's why they keep fenders on those cars. So you can do that. And Bubba's got that in him, but he's got a ways to go, no doubt. And we'll see.
Yeah.
But there's a whole marketing plan behind Bubba Wallace. But I do think stripping him down to just a driver, as I said, there are worse drivers driving in the Cup Series on a regular basis. So
I agree. Like I said, I just wanted to bring up, kind of that point and talk, because Bubba Wallace every week is a big topic on social media and
very prominently featured.
And he's got a passionate fan base, much like Kyle Busch's.
Yeah.
So, hey, let's move on to Talladega. We've already recapped that in the post-race show, but one thing that we don't know when we talk post-race is the viewership. Steve, you hit on this earlier in the show. 4.682 million people tuned in to watch the race this weekend at Talladega, which is just under the 6 or so million that tuned in for the Daytona 500. Is that right, Ryan? So, yeah, obviously the second biggest race on the schedule, twice a year. That's known. People love watching Talladega. They love watching Daytona. They like watching cars run 200 miles an hour and four wide racing. So people tune in for those. It's kind of like the majors in golf, if you will. So, to be expected, 4.6 million is a little higher than I thought it would be. I thought it'd be right around that 4.1, 4.2. So some pretty good ratings this week. And again, we got to see Ross Chastain eat another watermelon. I don't think any of us thought at this time in the season that we would be talking about Ross Chastain having 2 wins, which brings me to my next point. Right now, currently, the playoff point standings, William Byron.
Well, hang on. Before we do that, let's just quickly recap. For those of you, if you want a detailed recap, you got to come on Sunday night post-race. That's when the three of us go just about the race in its entirety and take every nuts and bolts. The thing about Talladega was, in my opinion, it was a typical Talladega. 160 laps of mundane, racing that kept you on the edge of your seat because they're doing it at that speed and that close together. And then you get 28 laps or 20 laps of sheer terror because you just keep waiting for the big one to happen. And people start dicing and pushing them to the front. This was Talladega again. They did it. I like the fact that with these next-gen cars, the bumpers and the fenders are tougher. You can rub, you can side drive, you can bump on a side drive, and you don't get knocked out of place or cut a tire as quickly. So it was typical Talladega for everybody. Ended up with a good race, and Ross Chastain again, much like the week before with Kyle Busch, opportunist, and he was in the right place at the right time when stuff started happening. So, but if you want a real good, detailed breakdown of the race, listen to us on Sunday nights.
Yeah, or you can go back and catch that post-race show at any time. If you'd like, it's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. So,
yeah, and you can go to betting.net and find out exactly.
It's not actually, Steve,
as to when we'll actually do what time we'll do the show. Because God knows what time, it's never the same time.
It's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos.
Yeah,
Sit back, relax, and play the top online slots, poker, and table games. Good job.
Can you bet on jarts?
I don't know. I don't know what jarts are.
You don't know what jarts are? You never played
No. Are they lawn darts?
lawn darts? Yeah, we call
Okay.
them jarts.
Yeah. Call them lawn darts. And
When you get
I
out of
think
the
they're-
woods, and the sticks, we have different names for things. So BB, Indiana.
I know. We play cornhole here, and that has a whole new meaning in LA where you live, Steve.
Hey, no, Mike and I got invited to Las Vegas to play an exhibition match in the Cornhole National Championships. We got invited. We talked to the president and commissioner of the National Cornhole Association, and he invited Mike and I to go down. And you check this with your butt boss when you talk to him there. So,
Steve, you gotta quit saying that.
but we got invited to come down and have a cornhole match, and I was scared to death of Goodpaster. I figured that guy could probably a cornhole champion.
Let's move on, Steve, again to the point standings. As we talked about, I didn't think at this time in the season Ross Chastain would have 2 wins. I don't think any of us did. But I don't think any of us thought William Byron have 2 wins at this point in the season either. And they are currently 1-2 in the playoff standings, followed by Kyle Busch with the win, Alex Bowman with the win, Kyle Larson with the win, Chase Briscoe with a win, and, of course, Austin Cindric with the Daytona 500 win, and Denny Hamlin. Currently, right now, drivers without a win, and notable drivers without a win, I think we should mention, who are still fighting for a playoff spot, is Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick. I will even throw Austin Dillon in there. Tyler Reddick, Kurt Busch, Bubba Wallace, and Daniel Suarez, which I think are the most notable drivers, other than Brad Keselowski, who's in the 29th position right now. But I think with a win and a couple good finishes, I think he could still possibly make the playoffs. But he's a must win for sure. So right now, I think we have reached the point in the season where every week is a must win. And as we move into Dover this week, Ryan, Steve, who do you think that this is a must win, absolute must win week, or be competing for a win week for this week, other than your driver, of course, Chase Elliott, or if it is Chase Elliott, Steve? Ryan, you can go first. Yeah. Or Steve,
I don't think it's a must win for LA because LA's got 3 or 4 road courses left in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the Roval, he's got Indy, and don't they go back up to Elkhart Lake or what's in Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Do they go up to Wisconsin?
Road America,
and do they go back to Dakota or not?
No.
So they've got
Dakota's
3 or 4. They got 3 or 4 road courses left.
I think 3.
Okay, they only going to run 5 this year. They've only run 2.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, Indy, the Roval,
and Road America.
Road America. So they've got 3 left.
I think that's it.
All right. Well,
but the Roval's typically during the playoffs.
Oh, the Roval's in the playoffs. Okay, so might be closer. I think Logano needs to get a win.
Logano's already got a win. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong.
God, Jesus Christ. Truex, cars that just aren't showing well. Truex is not showing well. Harvick's not showing well. Those are guys. Somebody from 2311, Kurt Busch needs to get a win right now. I think you're coming down, but there are a slew of drivers that need to get a win. But I think what's going to make this fun from here on out is these guys are going to start rubbing and racing to get up front and get these wins. You're going to see a lot more banging and bumping, and a lot of these guys are aggressive. A lot of these guys are aggressive drivers. Harvick can get mean when he wants to. Kurt Busch can get mean. I mean, a lot of these guys, Logano can get mean.
Tully, I'll talk Reds baseball for you. Sell the team, Bob. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, that's all right. So I think you called it. I think anybody who has not won yet, you better start thinking about getting a win, because you're not done seeing two-time winners in NASCAR yet. There's a bunch of drivers. You got to fully expect Kyle Busch is going to win again. I think that's a given. I believe Larson's going to win at least one more time. At least I believe Elliott will get a win. And the rest of them, Elliott's in that boat right now, but he's probably the most likely to pull off a win of those three right now without, because he's got the road courses. So that's my theory. Kyle or Ryan?
Logano.
I'm calling you Kyle now.
Hey, he looks like Kyle Busch.
He does look like Kyle Busch. He's better looking than Kyle Busch.
I would say that there's a short-term and long-term answer. She's good looking. There's a reason we have a baby on the way. So I think that the short-term and long-term answer are different for these. I think short-term, I think Christopher Bell has to show that he belongs in JGR. So I think he needs to get a win, and he needs to do something to show that his spot doesn't need to replace at JGR. He's only got 2 wins, and he's done nothing in the playoffs when he's gotten there. So I think for the short term, he needs to show JGR that he's worth staying on at, or possibly being replaced by these younger guys that Joe Gibbs has down in the Xfinity Series. You got a Brandon Jones knocking, a John Hunter Nemechek knocking, and obviously Ty Gibbs, and their chance is going to have to come sooner or later. And, Joe's not going to just keep that spot for Christopher Bell if he doesn't end up winning. So I think that's short term. Long term, I think somebody at Stewart-Haas has to get a win, and I don't know who it'll be. They do have a win with Chase Briscoe, but I don't think he's the type of driver at this point of his career is going to catapult them into a Final Four, let alone maybe one of the 8 remaining. So I think Stewart-Haas has been really struggling as of late. They already know Kevin Harvick's going to leave. Cole Custer got 1 win, and it was a fluke at Kentucky, and he hasn't run very good at all outside of that win. So I think somebody at Stewart-Haas really, really needs to get a win and just kind of get some momentum going with the drivers that they have right now, because that organization could look completely different in 1 to possibly 2 years. And, I think Kevin Harvick is in the twilight. We already know he's going to retire, if not at the end of this year, the end of next year when his contract ends. And at the other side, Cole Custer, he came in, did really good the Xfinity Series. Outside of that, he has not shown his worth in NASCAR as a competitive driver on what most people believe is a premier team in Stewart-Haas Racing.
I agree. So they're moving on to Dover this week, which is as you know, a 1-mile track. Do you think this week we see Hendrick won't go 1, 2, 3, 4 again? And you guys think that's a possibility?
I think it's a possibility, but I don't think it'll happen. It's really hard.
I agree. It's a possibility. I think you got 2 drivers who fare very well on this track for Hendrick. And you got another driver who's hotter than snot right now, with the other driver with 2 wins. But the chances of them going 1, 2, 3, and 4, just because of accidents, wrecks, or being in the wrong, Bubba Wallace being up front or something like that.
Was that the fall or spring race we saw that last year? I don't remember.
It was a fall race, wasn't it?
The fall race. It might have been. I forget which race it was.
It wasn't a playoff race.
Okay. It wasn't?
I don't think it was. Where Wallace and not Wallace, where Larson and Elliott went head to head?
Yeah. And and Hendrick finished 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Last year. So
it's always a possibility, but that's something we'd have to call our good friends at betting.now and ask which bookmaker betting.net would give us the best odds and take that bet. But I'd want the best odds on them going 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Well, we will be on Sunday for a post race show right after the race. A couple hours after the race, we'll let you know what time to come on. But we are going to give you our picks for this week's race. And if you like our picks, head on over to betting.net. It's your best bet for finding an online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Why are you shaking your head, Steve?
Didn't we just do a commercial 2 seconds ago?
We are, but we're going to give our picks, and I want to remind everybody that if they like
royalties,
royalties. Somebody's getting paid now. Are you getting paid, Ryan?
I haven't said a word about it, so it's definitely Joe.
Well, that's not a no.
Hey, who wants to go first giving picks this week?
I'll go first.
Let's hear
Since you think my picks last week sucked, and I already said they were going to be out of the box, and I still won with them. So I'm going to go ahead and give my picks this week. It's not nearly as interesting as last week. I went with Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., William Byron, Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain. I think what we need to realize is Ross Chastain's for real. He has been up front the entire season. He's had multiple top 3 finishes, I believe 3 of them, where he didn't win and now has 2 wins. So I think we as in myself and others that watch this sport, need to recognize that Ross Chastain has a serious chance to be this season's 4 or 5 win driver based on the way that him and Trackhouse Racing are going right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my not seal of approval, but my belief that Ross Chastain's for real. And I also want to say one thing. William Byron was brought into Hendrick as a guy that had a lot of hype, didn't really live up to it, but I think we're seeing William Byron turn into a championship driver. This kid has the chance to be an absolute superstar, and I believe at times we forget about that because there is a Kyle Larson and a Chase Elliott. Don't be surprised in 2 or 3 years, William Byron's the one that has the most gear on.
I agree. Good assessment. Very
good.
Get
a thumbs up from me. Great observation.
Steve, you want me to go?
I'll go. I'll let you go last. All right. I kind of went. I'm going to try for the Hendrick 3 play. I went with Larson, Elliott, and Byron. All right. Larson and Elliott, duel they had last year. Both of them have run well there. And then William Byron is just hot. I mean, he's probably driving as good as anybody. Him and Chest, 2 wins, obviously, but I think the way Byron's won is a little harder than Chest. Winning on a super speedway is 50% being in the right place at the right time and 50% luck. I've seen people be in the right place at the right time and still lose. So I'm not taking anything away from Chastain. I'm just saying Byron's grinded out 2 wins. And this is a grind track. Dover is it's concrete again. So it's wear and tear on the tires. Pit stops come into play a lot more. And I believe Dover's a 2-lane track, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hope it is.
You can go through.
I don't think it has been lately. I think it's been more of a 1 lane. That's why we saw the dominance. And you will see dominance at this track at times. But I hope, because to me, Phoenix wasn't a great race, had a great finish, but wasn't a great race. So I'm hoping this is a mile track where we do see some side-by-side passing. It's extremely banked. So there is a chance on this 1 mile track compared to others to actually have some really big wrecks coming out of 1 and 2. So I hope we see tire degradation, but we also see people racing.
Yeah, I think you will. I think pit stops will play an important part of this race too. So there goes the Chase Elliott. Comes in first, goes out 22nd.
Jesus, no shit.
What do you do? Lose a tire? No. Did the lug nut fall off? No, they only got 1 lug nut.
No, his pit crew just fucking sucks.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so I got Larson, Elliott, and Byron, and I think it's time for Penske to make their mark and get a win other than a super speedway win with Hendrick. So I'm going with Logano and Blaney. A lot of those guys, Byron, as I said, is a gritty, grind 'em driver. Blaney will bang you when he has to. Logano can play as dirty pool as anybody in the league. He's physical. And Larson will bang with anybody too. He'll move you out of his way. Elliott's probably the most respectful driver of that 5, but that's my 5.
All right.
Did you hear that, Joe?
What?
Hendrick's new slogan: "We'll grind you, we'll bang you, and we'll like it dirty."
Yeah, we'll
That's
bang
all I
anybody.
got out of that.
You guys are so dirty.
You heard it here on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Hendrick
I
Motorsports
swear,
will bang anybody.
I'm offended. You take everything I say and turn it into a sexual joke. You two need sensitivity training.
We need sensitivity training, Steve. I agree.
Golly, gee whiz it. Dang nabbit.
I got a pick that's going to blow your all's mind this week. So my 5 drivers this week are going to be Truex, Elliott, Bowman, Larson. Are you guys ready for this? Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick.
Harvick's a good pick. It's a track made for him.
How many wins he got here, Ryan?
I don't care what history says. He has not been good.
I've been good this last 2 years.
I'm using your trick here. Keep dogging on that.
That's fine. Okay. How much? You want to do a friendly wager?
Yeah, let's do it.
$5.
Whoa. You got to go to betting.net. If you're going to make a friendly wager, I suggest you go to betting.net and put your money down on one of the great websites that gives you the best odds to win from betting.net. Go there if you're going to make a friendly wager. Okay? So
maybe we'll
promote our sponsors there, Ryan, if you're going to do anything. Don't make the bet on your own. That's illegal, son.
It is.
Gambling in Indiana is illegal.
Gambling in Indiana is not illegal, Steve.
Online betting is legal. You're no casinos.
Gamble in Indiana.
Just riverboats.
Yes, sir. No,
not true.
That's changed.
Oh, yeah, there's the one in Lawrenceburg.
You live in Malibu now, Steve. You have no idea.
That's right. There's the I-74. I-74 has the ones. That's right.
You've lost contact with God's country, so let me and Joe handle this. While you're one earthquake away from floating away, okay?
Well, I just didn't like the fact that you guys were going to make a bet without going through betting.net.
Joe, pick one of my drivers that you think will finish lower than Harvick.
I don't want to. Reddick.
All right, Tyler Reddick. All right, $5.
Okay.
All
right. $5 in Monopoly money. Yeah. Steve, you got anything to wrap up the show?
No, I've said my piece.
Ryan, you got anything?
We've been on too long.
Yeah, we've been on for a while. Let's go ahead and end the show. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I want to remind you before we get off air here that the Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is the best bet for finding an online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Guys, I will see you for the post-race show. We will get it out. What time that is going to be, I'll get with both of you offline here and see when you all are available. We'll be back right after the race at Dover to recap the race. Have a good night.